I survived 1000 days in Minecraft. It wasn't hardcore or anything, but it is survival, so yeah. I'll be showing you my journey, showing you the different parts of my world, and I'll have a world tour in a separate video for 1000 days. If you go on to enjoy the video, please like, subscribe, and comment on what I should do next. Here we go. Somewhere deep in a huge mystical forest, a man was created by unknown entities, rumored to be the pillagers. This was me, and I decided to take matters into my own hands and started stripping the land of its natural resources. After a time span of only a few days, I decided it's time to find people, and after moving many kilometers west, I found a small village to settle near. It was also perfect because the village was just outside of the desert heat, and the desert itself had lots of rich minerals and ores under the surface. I started to set up camp over the next few weeks and exploring the desert area to see if there was anything I could find. Somewhere after day 20, first contact was made with the nether, and I brought a chicken along with me. At this time I also started making lots of animal farms. Then came Halloween and the mobs declared war on me and the village, and I managed to capture a war prisoner to show off, but sadly he died after a few days. About 120 days after spawning, I decided to venture down south to find a forest that I could take down. I spent a lot of days deforesting a massive dark oak forest. This wood ended up lasting me over 1000 days. Over this time my main base started expanding and the farming industry was a huge source of income for me. Contact was also made with the end, where I got a more convenient storage item. Shulkers. By this point I was starting to advance a lot and was self-sustainable. This is where I decided I wasn't wealthy enough and dug to the bottom of the nether to find riches buried deep within the hellhole. I also had multiple encounters and mini wars with pillagers. It was easy enough to fend them off. I then saw a lot of land north to the village, saw potential in it and started moving my stuff there. I started with an automated sugarcane farm which failed horribly, only to be taken down a few hundred days later when it barely saw any profit. I also started a base there which I'll use for over 1000 days. The base I built had everything it needed and I decided to take ownership of the village as I was far more powerful than them and it would benefit both me and them. At this point I had lots of wealth, lots of food, multiple pets and many building resources. I decided I'd start building up a town here. I was still using the old area and had functioning farms there and a pretty cool storage system within an abandoned desert temple I found. I set up a small watchtower to show my dominance over the village and the surrounding area. The villagers themselves started building up an army without me even asking, and I started building the town up with an iconic stone store that I used for hundreds of days. But as I gained power, someone watched over me, almost as if to make sure I wasn't getting too powerful. I started up roadworks and started maintaining my very small town. As I gained more wealth, I decided the tower needed to be upgraded and made one nearly twice taller which would be revamped at least 3 times in the future. This was the first demolition and took place at around day 400. At first basalt was used for roads, but then I saw a block with far more potential for roadways. Blackstone. Too rare to build with, but common enough to make roads with. I then also took partial control over Nether Fortress and used it as an outpost to get to different parts of the nether. At this point everything was starting to get connected by nether portals. My farming industry multiplied tenfold and most importantly, my mining industry was booming. All of the building materials I gathered from mining were dumped into the village walls and upgraded the defense against the mobs and pillagers. By this point I had a resource overflow and didn't have enough storage to store everything I owned. I also went on a lot of nether voyages which were being done in hopes of finding something revolutionary out there. This all added on to my storage problems. The town continued expanding, the roads kept being digged up and fixed and the rural areas and the rural areas of the town were quickly turning grey. It was meant to be a cool poem or something, but what was that? What was that? Bruh. To make my micronation more efficient and bring it to the next level, a quality storage building had to be built. Someone had also been attacking my iron golem, it seems. Redstone started being implemented in the build designs and the first ever elevator had been built in the main tower. The animal farms were also transported to the new location to cut down on travel time. Road expansions were now rapid. Then started a massive 100-day mining trip where I got lost in caves for 100 days straight and got as much resources as possible. Most of these resources still made up a good portion of the wealth I had over 1000 days later. The Ender Dragon was also defeated around this time. I went through a lot of struggle and pain, but it paid off as my country now had a good amount of power for its size. We are now at the 500-day mark, meaning we're halfway there, and if you've been enjoying this so far, don't forget to like the video as this will help me grow. Anyways, on to the last 500 days. Well, ignoring the failed ice farm, the nether infrastructure started to expand and it was easier to traverse the nether at this point. Then some voyages begun and beautiful lands were discovered. These were marked as preservation zones, meaning my country would do anything to make sure these stay preserved, as a lot of these areas would no longer generate after the 1.18 update was released. A second stronghold was also found along the way. The nether voyages also paid off and I could now flex my riches. The end farm was also made and getting XP was far easier than before. By this point the storage room was complete and I had a full enchanted netherite armor. Things were looking good, but then the economy hit a plateau. The farms weren't being used as much, the sugarcane farm was demolished, and much more. A lot of village cleaning had been done to make the village nicer. By this point I had conquered 5 villages and set 4 to be my main, with my goal being to connect them all up. I started by taking the village up north and building a house there. I also had a decently sized mine at this point and used it to collect all of my stone. I then built a villager breeder and a villager trading hub and started trading. More voyages were done at this point and I found a mesa biome and some more riches. This is where building efficiency came to play, and I decided that since I was burning through my resources too quick, I would cut corners on buildings so I could build more of them. Huge levels of construction took place, with buildings being built to take control of different regions of the map. Blackstone became one of the most mined resources as there was huge demand for it due to all of the roadways. The second town also began construction. I decided I would put each village in its own separate state and built walls between them. At this point I also decided I wouldn't start any fights against Endermen. They might have been spying on me, but they were chill. The economy wasn't growing much, but the construction companies sure were. At this point I started work on a museum which would hold rare mobs. I also claimed a 6th village to myself, which is where the museum was being built. The town started running out of room to expand and plans were made to expand east. At this point I was transporting a ton of mobs which took away from the growth of my country. Then something revolutionary happened. The Wither was defeated. In a confined space, of course, to avoid mass destruction. This revolutionized everything, as I could now get building resources much faster. A road now fully connected the 2 main towns and a beacon was placed in a mining area. A secret underground project began to make a huge pool of water for rare axolotls to spawn, which horribly failed and my country had to cover it up by saying it had a different use. There was pressure as this took a lot of money from the economy. The country completely flatlined in growth as the new objective was to save rare mobs and biomes from the 1.17 update that would be discontinued in the next update. Yeah, this world was 1.17 at this moment as I didn't want to switch just yet. Then rumors started spreading that a secret underground operation was taking place that involved tools of mass destruction. Not much was known yet. This leads us up to 1000 days. So yeah, this felt like a pretty big journey and it took a lot of time because I took many breaks from this game in between. This was a crazy journey, a pretty memorable one. The world is nothing too special and I will be releasing a world tour on this soon, I think. Obviously I feel I could have got more done. I had a lot of focus on saving rare mobs and stuff and that took away from my building. I'm still pretty proud of the world, but I believe, you know, I'll make up for it. I'll catch up in the future as, you know, this world will go on forever, it seems. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. 2000 days is coming soon and a huge change is waiting in the next video. If you're excited for this, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned with what I'm going to be doing next. Anyways, this is it for now. See you guys in the next video.